Before electricity, the state and the country were really economically and socially divided. There were the people who had electricity, and that was primarily the cities and towns. There were factories, there were jobs, there was opportunity. And then there was the rest of the country and the rest of rural coastal Georgia, which was essentially agriculture.
My mother worked in the field, and she grew the crop: corn, potato, peas, beans, okra.
No lights, no electricity, no refrigeration, no water.
Life in this immediate area in Bryan, Liberty, McIntosh counties in the first 2 decades of the 1900s was pretty grim for the majority of people. The difficulties of eking out a living on subsistence agriculture, for one thing, had very little profit value in it. It became very difficult to make ends meet.
Had lamps. That's the only way we had to see at night was with the lamp light. Yeah. And I had to study lesson by the lamp light. Sometimes I lay on the floor in front of the chimney with my book down there on the floor and study my lesson by the firelight from the chimney.
Life was tough on the coast as we didn't have electricity, and people had to wash their clothes outside in the wash pots, and it was just tough going. You didn't have any way to keep your food cold, so you canned most of your food back then.
But back yonder, they put that wood in the stove, and you had to keep putting wood in there to get your food get done. It takes so much longer.
The New Deal was the program by which the nation began the road to recovery from an economic depression. The New Deal was composed of various federal programs by which people were put back to work and given job opportunities. The New Deal was really the economic salvation of the nation long before World War II came.
Well, in 1935, then President Franklin Delano Roosevelt signed an executive order that created the Rural Electrification Administration.
The REA was one of the most important of all the New Deal programs because for the first time, rural people all over America, including here in coastal Georgia, had an opportunity for electricity, which changed their lives in so many ways, made their lives better. And when the REA was enacted by congressional legislation in 1935, it immediately set in motion nationwide programs as part of the New Deal to give people an opportunity to better their lives, to have something they never had before. You hear of electricity, and most people associated that with the big cities, but now it was coming to the people that lived on the tidal creeks and the rivers and in the country and on farms, and it made a whole difference in everybody's lives.
Well, cooperatives came about because at the time, the investor-owned utilities that served the cities didn't think it was worth their while to run lines outside the city limits. There weren't enough people to sell power to. The farmers weren't going to be able to take advantage of it. If they did run, they wanted to charge in excess of $15,000 a mile, and that was in 1930 dollars. And so they made it very cost prohibitive.
Now, one thing that farmers knew an awful lot about was cooperatives. They had already had farm market cooperatives, so it was just a natural evolution of that they would form what would be not-for-profit, customer-owned cooperatives. It actually started when the county agents of McIntosh County and Liberty County began to come together and talk. They formed a Coastal Electric Cooperative in June of 1940 and began to go door to door and solicit memberships.
Cooperatives are a unique business model. They don't teach it anymore in school, we're finding out, but it's where a group of people come together who need a service or have another need, and rather than paying somebody else and let them take the extra profits for it, they get together and do it themselves at cost. And so in our case, providing electricity, we provide electricity to our members at cost. At the end of the year, if there is any money left over, we assign it to their account and give it back to them at some point in the future when our cash allows us to do that.
Well, after the coming of electricity was available, it was possible for businesses to do things that used motors. You could have a tire shop. You could have a machine shop. You could have welding.
Commercial fishermen, such as oyster fishermen and shrimp fishermen, all of a sudden could make ice to keep on their boats, to keep their catches cold. This was a huge development. Businesses began to really spring up. People who had never been in the commercial businesses began to open businesses, stores and shops and small groceries, all benefiting from electrification to keep their produce cold, their meats cold, and to light their businesses and to stay open after dark when before that, everything shut down with sundown. And so now businesses could actually stay open past dark, which would enhance everybody's economic opportunity.
Well, it enabled development and growth throughout the county. A lot of industry started actually moving south to take advantage of the southern economy. So electricity was it's been critical, absolutely crucial to the development of the region.
Coastal Electric always was there to help us when we saw the opportunity to attract business or industry to the community.
Midway Industrial Park, the Tradeport Business Center, we couldn't have done those without the kind of assistance that's been provided by Coastal Electric Cooperative.
They were always the first one to step up to the plate and say, let us help.
Because it is a great mutual relationship.
Elan Technology is a manufacturer of microelectronic component insulators that are made out of electronic glasses, ceramics, and composites. We have parts on the Space Shuttle, the Hubble Telescope, JDAM missile, Patriot missile guidance systems, heart valve defibrillators, pacemakers, oxygen sensors, parts in the airbag triggers. So everywhere where there's a microelectronic current that needs to be insulated, that's where we are. We decided to move the company from New Jersey. We surveyed 31 sites from Virginia all the way to Florida. And we selected Liberty County. We looked at infrastructure support. And then we looked for a supplier of energy. Now, Coastal Electric was the one that took the trouble to fly to New Jersey to visit our plant and look at our power needs. And to find somebody that showed that level of interest in providing the service.
We're an aerospace manufacturer of critical rotating hardware, engine parts. And we make parts only for jet engines. Customers like Rolls-Royce, General Electric, Pratt & Whitney are our prime customers. Service has been fantastic, really from the start. They came in and said, well, let me just explain what a co-op is and how this works. And we're going to have a little contract here where we talk about what the energy costs will be and those kind of things. And by the way, we're putting a substation in here for your company, and we're going to have 25 megawatts of power, and this is going to be good, and here's your portion of it, but it's beyond what you're going to need. And we're looking at ways to connect that power so that there's two loops, so a downtime of power was a key to us. So that sort of innovative and forward thinking was very important to us and made us feel very comfortable.
Coastal Georgia is growing very rapidly. Coastal Electric is very proud to be part of that and to help this area grow and to reach its fullest potential. We're doing that by working with our development authorities to help craft proposals that will attract industries to the area. We're working with our environmental groups to make sure that when those industries come, they adhere to the same standards we do. This is our home. We want to protect our coast. We're working with our schools to try to make sure that the workforce is educated and ready to go.
Without question, a hallmark of Coastal Electric Cooperative is the commitment that we give to education in our communities. We support our schools through scholarship programs, through safety, through education programs.
We invest over $100,000 a year in our youth. We think our youth is our biggest resource. We want them to have those opportunities to learn and then to come back and work in our area. We want to help create those jobs so that this will still be home.
One of the things that Coastal Electric takes great pride in is innovation and technology. We are always trying to figure out how to do more with less and increasing our response times is one of our goals in all the technologies that we evaluate.
Because we're a small electric cooperative, we can be an early adopter of technology because we don't have a lot of layers of bureaucracy to go through when we want to make decisions.
Over the years, our focus has been to install smart devices on our system that can bring back information to tell us proactively how the system is functioning. And that reduces our time to troubleshoot and figure out where the problems are.
Probably no higher calling in life than the call to serve other people. And that's what we feel like we're doing here. We're helping other people. And you gotta feel good about that. And electric co-ops, just by their definition, are people helping other people. We still like the fact that it's all about service to people, service above self. And that's why we come to work. Our belief is that we want to be the provider of what our members want.
Because we still want to be your energy provider of choice going forward there. What is the future going to look like in 10 years, 15 years? I'm not really sure. It's kind of scary as fast as it's changing. But as your electric cooperative, we still plan to be there. We want to be your partner. We want to be your trusted partner.
75 years ago, the next greatest thing in the lives of so many people in rural coastal Georgia was the coming of electricity. That was the transformation. That was the moment that literally brought them out of the darkness into light. Now, 75 years later, that job's been done. And we look to the future to say, today, what's the next greatest thing? What will the next generation expect from their electric cooperative? I don't know. But I know this, is just as we responded to the needs of the members in 1940, that's what we will do again. Whatever the future holds, whatever direction the technology will lead us, this electric cooperative will be at the forefront of bringing it to our members.
Oh, yes, thank you for everything. I mean, they pull out all the stops. Anything we need, they do their best to try to help us with it. So I'm certainly glad they're here because we wouldn't have been nearly successful if they had not been. And I wish them a happy 75th. Great group of people.